Hi everyone, I'm Callie Kim. Welcome to my garden today. Today I'm going to share with you 3 crops you can still plant in December. You heard me right, in December. Now these are crops you can plant no matter where you live, even if you live in a climate where you get hard freezes and frost in the wintertime. I'm going to show you how to do it no matter where you live. And I know what you're thinking, Kim, there's no way I can grow outside right now. It's just way too cold. But hang in there. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it inside, outside, so you can still have something to harvest in the wintertime. The first crop you can grow in the winter in December now are herbs. If you aren't growing herbs right now, you're really missing out. We did a video a few weeks ago on how to plant up just a 5-gallon container of perennial herbs. We've got oregano, sage, parsley, rosemary, and thyme. Everything you need to really make your dishes pop in the winter. Now you can definitely plant them here in a 5-gallon container, grow them outside, especially if you live in a southern climate where there's no frost. But the thing about all these herbs, not only are they perennial, so they come back year after year, but they're extremely cold hardy. They can survive temperatures down to 20 degrees. So southern climates, grow them outside right here on your deck. Keep them all contained for easy access to your herbs. You can pick them all at once. Northern gardeners in cold winter climates, grow them in a container. You can keep them outside during the day if the temperatures are over 20 degrees. If it's going to get really cold, all you have to do is pick your container up and bring it inside, or cover it with a frost blanket on those super cold nights. Now, all you have to do to keep your herbs alive, couldn't be any easier, is just harvest them once a week. So I'm just going to harvest myself some oregano here. Just grab a little handful, snip them off. Got a nice little bunch of oregano to put on our dinner tonight. And when you harvest your herbs, you actually encourage them to grow more. The more you harvest, the more they grow. In this little 5-gallon container, we'll just harvest them once a week to add some punched up flavor to our meals. If you don't have enough space for a 5-gallon container, just grow some herbs in a 1-gallon container. These are chives. I've been growing these in this container for about a year, snipping once a week, and these fit really nicely under grow lights inside. Basil is also a great herb to grow indoors. It's not very cold hardy, so that's one you definitely want to grow indoors under grow lights in the wintertime. Crop number 2 you can still plant in December are tomatoes. You got that right, tomatoes. Now I'm not talking big, huge, giant tomatoes like you'd grow in the summertime. I'm talking a small little dwarf tomato called Tiny Tim. One of my favorites, and I've got one growing right here on top of my strawberry crate tower actually, and it's still producing tomatoes even in December. So you southern climates in frost-free areas, definitely grow your Tiny Tim tomatoes outside in the wintertime. I mean, look at these guys. They're just so adorable and cute. They're a little cherry tomato. The great thing about Tiny Tim is it only grows to about 2 feet tall. So it's a perfect little tomato to grow in a container. And on nights when it gets cold, if we ever get frost, I'll just cover it with a frost blanket or an old quilt. But last night we actually got down to 33 degrees and this plant is still growing strong and lots of little flowers coming on. Now for you northern gardeners, I haven't forgot you. You can grow Tiny Tim inside. A lot of people ask me, can I still grow tomatoes indoors? Yes, you can. Come on over here and I'm actually going to show you how to pot up a Tiny Tim tomato in a 5-gallon container that you can grow all winter long indoors under grow lights, no matter where you live. So if you thought you were done with tomatoes for the season, imagine having fresh tomatoes to harvest right at your fingertips indoors in the wintertime. So what we're going to do to bring this pot indoors, this is a 5-gallon smart pot, and you really do need at least a 5-gallon to grow them to full size indoors. So these are Tiny Tims I started from seed about 8 weeks ago. I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. I'm going to transplant one of them into this 5-gallon smart pot. So first off, I'm actually reusing some of my potting soil that I've grown outside. But when you do that, super important, you have to sterilize your potting mix. If you don't, you risk bringing bugs or bug eggs inside the house. Now this is super easy to do. You don't have to turn your oven on and sterilize it in the oven. All you need to do is to pour boiling water over your potting mix. That'll kill any bugs or bug eggs in the soil and you'll be good to go with bringing your outdoor potting mix inside. So what I'm going to do now is fill up my 5-gallon smart pot with my pre-moistened potting mix, and this is actually my seed starting mix, but you can use regular potting mix if you want to as well. And I love the 5-gallon smart pot for growing inside because you can easily move it around from spot to spot inside your house. or even move it outside if you have a nice, warm, sunny day. Plus the fabric is aerated, so you can grow larger plants in smart pots because the roots get the air they need to really be strong and healthy, and they don't get root bound. One thing I like to do to make filling the smart pot a little bit easier is to fold it in half, and then as I fill it to the top, I can unfold it. Just makes it that much easier. I'm filling my 5-gallon smart pot all the way to the top. One more scoop, and then I am going to add in some Vermistera worm castings, because when you reuse soil, you do need to add extra amendments just to add some good extra fertilizer, so my Tiny Tims will really take off. So a handful or 2 of that. Nice sprinkle of organic granular fertilizer. It has a nice balanced NPK. Nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, so my tomatoes will really thrive indoors this winter. So I'm going to plant actually 2 tomatoes in my 5-gallon smart pot. I always like to have 2 just for insurance. If something happens to the one, I'll have another one to take its place. And then I can always transplant the second one into another pot if need be as the first one grows. So this one I actually planted from seed in a small little 4-inch pot here. And you can see there's already little tomatoes and flowers on this plant. So to pop these out, just squeeze the bottom of the pot. Got a little hole dug here. And I'm going to plant them up to the second set of leaves. So I'm digging a pretty deep hole in here. Some nice little roots. So I like to bury them deep to give them a nice sturdy root system, because tomatoes send out roots, just like in the summertime, from wherever the stem touches the soil. See those little tiny hairs? Those will become roots, which will really help my tomato be strong and healthy and take up the nutrients it needs to survive in the wintertime. And what I'm actually going to do now, turn this pot around so you guys can see, is pinch off the little tiny fruit that's coming on. I know this is really hard to do, to sacrifice this fruit, but I want this tomato to really focus on growing strong and not producing fruit at this point. I'm going to transplant one of the seedlings from my 6-pack kind of off to the side, just so it has a little space to grow in here. And then again, I'll probably end up transplanting this later to another pot, pack it in here in exactly the same way. See how easy that is? Now it's very important, if you want to have tomatoes to full size here in the wintertime, you've got to keep up on the fertilizing, especially when you first plant. So I'm going to fertilize here with some Vermistera Vitality. This is like worm tea on steroids. It's a nice, strong, concentrated form of worm tea. And the reason why I really like this is because it really helps the roots get established in a container, and it gives them a really nice, slow, steady growth. Not a huge burst of growth, but it just really helps them get their roots established, get off to a good start, and really encourages the flowering and fruiting production once they grow a little bit more. So I'm just kind of drenching this down here. I've been using Vermistera for about 11 years. It's definitely my go-to. It really does keep the plants healthier, and I have much less pests when I'm using this, which is especially important for indoor growing. Also super important that you provide Tiny Tim with some kind of support. When it's small like this, I just use a little stake, especially for indoor growing, and then you can wrap the little stretchy tie tape kind of around it as it grows, just to give it that little extra support so it doesn't flop over. As it gets bigger, you may want to install a small little tomato cage, and this is actually about the right size to install it, because if you wait too long, it's going to be really hard to install it over a larger plant. So no need for a big, huge tomato cage. This one is about 2 to 3 feet tall. And that way it supports the tomato as it grows, because this tomato is highly, highly productive. And once it is loaded down with tomatoes, it gets kind of heavy and tends to flop over. Little note here about Tiny Tim. It is a determinate tomato, which means it grows to a set size. This one again is about 2 feet tall. Determinate usually means that once it reaches its set height, has put on all of its fruit, you've harvested the fruit, the plant dies. However, Tiny Tim is an exception. I've grown this tomato for years, and it will literally put out tomatoes for about 2 to 3 months. Sometimes even all summer long when you're growing them in the hot weather. You might be saying, Kim, I don't have any Tiny Tim tomato seedlings started. What do I do for that? Okay, I'm really glad you asked, because I'm going to show you how to start one. I like to start it in small little cups or 6-packs. Rather than start it directly in the 5-gallon, I just feel like it gets off to a better start that way and grows stronger and faster. And I have seeds in my indoor garden seed collection or my container garden seed collection. So all you need to do is fill your container with soil, again the pre-moistened soil for indoor growing that's sterilized, or you can make your own with my DIY seed starting mix. And I like to plant, whoops, got a few extra seeds there. I like to plant about 3 to 4 seeds in each little 6-pack or each little container. So you just drop them in, and it will take about 6 to 8 weeks to grow to the point where you can put them in a 5-gallon. You do want to keep these in a warmer location in your house. When I'm growing them in the wintertime, I like to grow them on a heat mat for quicker germination. So right now our house is around 60 to 65 degrees in the wintertime, and that just helps them germinate that much quicker. I'm going to cover them very lightly with soil. You don't need a whole lot because these seeds are very tiny. A little sprinkle will do ya, and then we'll put it inside under grow lights. Now, if you're in a southern climate with no frost, you can grow this outdoors, right on your patio. You don't need a lot of space. But if you're in a cold winter area where you get frost and freezes, you want to put this into a smaller drip tray just to manage the size, and then put it indoors under grow lights. Now, you don't have to go crazy with your grow light setup. My simple clamp light is one that you can clamp right on top of the tomato cage, and you can actually move it up and down the tomato cage to give your plant sufficient light as it grows to produce fruit in the wintertime. The next thing you're going to need to do is to hand pollinate your tomatoes. No bees inside to do the pollinating for you, but the good thing is tomatoes have both male and female parts in one flower. So all you need to do to pollinate is just shake your plants every couple of days. It'll move the pollen around, and you'll be surprised at how it will help your tomatoes grow and be productive, even indoors in the wintertime. You can grab Tiny Tim's seeds in my indoor garden seed collection. All my seed collections are 50% off right now for an end of the year season clearance. And also grab the 5-gallon Smart Pot over there as well. Now, if you're growing Tiny Tim's outside in the winter, if you're in a southern climate, frost-free area, make sure that you put them in the sunniest spot possible to have the best chance of producing tons of tomatoes. Tiny Tim here in my strawberry crate tower is still growing strong. Lots of little green tomatoes on it. And you can hand pollinate your tomatoes outside in exactly the same way that you would indoors to help it produce more tomatoes. And leave your grow lights on your Tiny Tims 18 hours a day on and 6 hours a day off. Crop number 3 you can still grow in December are microgreens. Microgreens are nutrient-dense, power-packed greens that you harvest about 2 to 3 inches tall. You can harvest them in about 7 to 10 days. And did you know you can grow microgreens indoors without a grow light, or you can grow them outdoors in a sunny spot? So here I've got 2 different pots of microgreens growing. Some arugula in a 5-gallon Smart Pot. Now, if you don't want to fill your pot all the way up with soil, because you only need about a 6-inch pot for your microgreens, this is a Calichem 5-gallon, but you can just fold the pot down to kind of save yourself some soil. And you can grow microgreens from any easy to grow seeds. Here I've got some arugula growing, which I just seeded very heavily over the top of the soil, lightly covered it, and here they are a week later, ready to harvest. So if you don't want to grow them outside, if you're in colder areas, just follow the exact same procedure. Grow them in a smaller pot. This is a 1-gallon Calichem Smart Pot. Heavily seed. This is a combination of arugula and radish. These are ready to harvest. They're about 2 inches tall. So you can just snip them at the base and use them to top your winter comfort foods, your soups, your salads, your chicken dishes, anything you want to put them on really punches up the flavor. Now, for me, I'm growing them outside as well. Once they're ready to harvest at about 2 inches tall, I'll come in and just snip every couple of inches. Not only will I get some delicious microgreens, but it'll also serve to kind of thin out this pot. And then if I want to let them continue to grow, I'll get full-size arugula plants. If you need microgreen seeds, they're also in my indoor garden seed collection or in my microgreen seed collection. Grab them over on our website, and thank you so much for supporting our small business. Now, for more in-depth information on how to plant microgreens, watch this video right here, our November What to Plant video. Now what I want you to do is get at least one of these 3 crops planted. Whether you're going to plant some herbs, Tiny Tim tomatoes, or microgreens, you're going to feel so good knowing that you have something green and fresh growing indoors or outside this winter. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time in the garden.